very, very, very much. This is Thelma Williams, is a writer. She writes poems, among other things, and she'll probably tell you about that. And her son Daniel is an artist, and he's going to share with you some of the drawings that he has drawn. So we're going to turn it over to them, and we're going to be really good listeners today.
Okay, I'm going to move a little fast because 30 minutes is not very much time for me. So, anybody know what history is?
Yeah.
That's all right. I'm going to tell you. But one of the things that I want to talk to you about is I want to talk to you about the fact that as little people right now, that the things that you are beginning to do right now will be history tomorrow. So you someday will be history. How about that? Now I'm going to talk about a different kind of history today, a history that you don't hear about every day. And I'm going to talk about a history called, some people call it Black heritage, some people call it Black history, and some people call it African American history. And what I'm going to call it today is African American history. Now, African American is a person that skin is like mine, brown skin, or darker skin, or lighter skin. But it's a particular kind of race of people. Fantastic race of people. And so that's what I'm going to talk about today. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about my family. And what I'm going to do is talk about a cultural story of an African American family. So, whatever you hear, remember, I am talking about myself. So, it's got to be great. Okay, one of the things I want you to think about in that, my theme for today is a mirror of love. A mirror of love. And everybody know what a mirror is. You look in the mirror and something looks back at you. What looks back at you when you look in the mirror? Just tell me, holler it out.
Your reflection.
Okay. I want you to remember that. A mirror of love. Now, a long time ago, my people came to the United States in big ships. And this is about my family. It's all right if it's not about your family, but this is about my family. And we didn't want to come here. We were captured and we were brought over here. So the first thing I'm going to share with you is how we got here. We came to the docks all strapped in chains, mothers, fathers, children the same. Taken from our homeland without giving a thought. Couldn't speak the language, didn't know we were bought. We started new families in God's name. For breeding good slaves was a master's game. Buying and selling was a business affair. Splitting our families without a care. Trend was started a long time ago. Why can't we stop it now that we know? Why can't we change this awful plan and stop splitting our families and take a stand? Some children look at televisions and books and say, where is my father? Does he look as I look? There are so many pleasures watching children grow and experience many children fathers will never know. We came to the We passed through troubles from earlier days when fathers were head of the house, proudly in place. Something happened to some of our fathers with pride, joblessness and welfare in a white man's ride. As caring parents, we must make a plan to hold the family together if we can. A mother and father started our lives. We need both parents. Both should survive. And that's how my family got over here a long time ago. And something happened when I was a little girl. And this thing that happened when I was a little girl is called Black history. Struggling through the pages of blackness, traveling unknown roads, finding fear. the dog race fight to be heard. From this, black history emerged. Singing the blues coming from hard time, living the blues from social oppression, finding joy from church and gospel, always believing that God watches us. Walking the pages, fighting our darkness, not having the pride without being taught. We're black and we're proud, we shouting with hope. The monkey's off our back, no more rope. A beautiful black pearl stands firm. The ebony remain with noted fame. The history now written about our strives, the black and white pages, tales of our lives. I know you didn't understand all them words, but you understand the emotions. You understand that there's something happening here. And as you grow up, you'll understand more and more of everything that I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is history, and I'm talking about how we make history, and that's what this is about. This is about history being made today. This article was in the paper called Remembering St. John just recently. And this lady here was the daughter of the man that started St. John. And you might not know anything about St. John, but you know what you know something about? Highland Mall. Did you know that Highland Mall, that whole land and all that area, was owned by a black man? He's the first one that bought it. Yes, Highland Mall was owned by a person that looks just like us. Isn't that something? Sometimes people forget to tell you that. There's a lot of things that we've been doing for lots and lots of years in that. So what A.K. Black did back then, as he read his family, as he started history, and now he's in the history books. And that history was made when I was a little girl, just about your age, sitting there on the floor. Okay, now what I'm doing is I'm making history right now. By the time you get to be as big as I am, then hopefully you'll read about me in the history books. And you can say, hey, I was a part of that. I was a part of that history. So I want you to remember that what you do today is history tomorrow. What you do today is history tomorrow. So you need to learn as much as you can. You need to learn as much as you can so that your history will be good. Okay. What you do today is history tomorrow. Okay. If someone wrote down everything about your life, what kind of history would they write about you? Okay, what you want to think about is you want to have a loving history. Now, one way that you can start having a loving history is right now, start being the best children you can be. Stop hitting each other. Stop poking fun at each other. Stop teasing each other. Stop being mean to each other. And that way, you start today making a loving history so that someday tomorrow, somebody can write a loving history about the kind of people you are and the kind of world that you will make. A loving history is what you want to make. And you can start that right now by being the best children you can be. Okay. I want you real quickly to meet my mother. And I want you, as you think about a loving history, I want you to think about everything in your life being special. And one thing that's special to most people is their mother. And so I want to share with you how special my mother is. And one of the reasons I want to share this with you is because sometimes you don't know how special your mother and father is until you get grown. And then you can look back and see all the wonderful things they did for you. So when I found out how special my mother was, I was already grown, and my mother was an older person. So this is my tribute to her. It's called Mother's Way. Just thinking about my mother and a life at 71. I don't know what her dreams were or if her life's work is done. She goes to work daily as a maid working for the white man. She has so much pride in her duties, doing her work the best she can. At home, she cares for my dad, and my family adds to the load. I wonder why she does it, where she gets the energy to fill this role. She cooks, cleans, a perfect housewife, and works out every day. Her love for us is shown in the special care she displays. I wonder what her dreams were, and if we fall a chance. I wonder what her life would have been without our many demands. I don't want to be like my mother, but I respect her daily toil. I thank God for my mother, because her way gave me a choice. Mother's way. You can clap. When I was a little girl, I thought my dad was kind of mean. You see, everybody got all kinds of different parents. Everybody don't have the same kind of parents. And so I thought my dad was kind of mean. And sometimes I didn't like him a lot. But once I got grown and I looked back at all the things that he's done for me, then I had to go back and I had to look at it again. And sometimes you have to grow up. So this is about my dad. Now, let me tell you how I wrote this. My dad was sick once. After he was 70-some years old, he was real sick. And he came home, and he was thinking about his life. And you know, when he looked back at his life, he didn't like everything about his life. And so he said, there sitting on the bed, he said, you know, I'm just an old bonehead. And it seemed like sometimes no sense can get through. And I said, whoa. So I went back in the room, and I came back a few minutes later, and this is a tribute to my dad. My dad thinks he's a bonehead with nothing to tell the world. But he left for God some followers to forever carry the word. A bonehead, says he? Well, maybe. He left trails of regret, causing pain for all to see. A bonehead, well, maybe. But there must be a better description of a man past 70 to tell of gifts of living for all his generations to see. Many, many years of surviving, over 30 in a central home. Children, grandchildren, and greats can return from places they've roamed. Dad and mom are still together. Doesn't matter the reason why. Grown, we often visit this loving bonehead. Our beginnings will never die. So everything that sounds funny is not bad. Bonehead, my dad. I want you to see some of my son's pictures before we go any further. And I want him to talk. This is his first time in front of little people. So I want you to be especially kind to him. But he has a little nephew that's about your age, and so he understands a little about you. But I want him to show some of the pictures he's done. And what I want you to remember is that he started drawing his pictures when he was about 10 years old. And so if you practice and practice and practice over whatever you're going to do, that you can be almost anything you want to be. So you have to get your lessons, whatever the teacher tells you to do, and work real, real hard. Find something that you like to do, and then practice on it. And you can start right now. You don't have to be a big person to start doing special things. And the more special things that you do, the better person that you're going to be. So right now, for a minute, I want to introduce Danny. And what Danny's going to do is he's going to show you some of his pictures and tell you just a little bit about it, because he's not going to have very much time. So Daniel.
Hello, I'm Daniel Williams, and these are some of my pictures that I've done recently. Well, there's two of them. And basically, I started drawing, as she said, when I was about 10. And at 10 years old, you know what I could draw? I could draw a stick figure. And I couldn't even draw a good stick figure. But, you know, as I learned, you know, and grew, you know, and all this comes from just practicing. And something I tell my nephew all the time is that whatever you want to do, all you got to do is practice. Keep practicing. Yeah, I'm sure the person who drew the X-Men, he wasn't able to draw when he was about your age. He just learned how to practice. People who draw the Ninja Turtles, they didn't know how to draw either. You know, keep it up. There ain't nothing you can't do if you put your mind to it. Nothing.
What is it? Oh, he must.
Some of these characters are from the year 3000. So these are
And
people
right now I have so many characters that I actually have a story. And within the next 2 to 3 years, I'm going to come out with my own comic book with these characters. And if that does well, who knows, one day y'all might be seeing some of these characters on TV or in the movies.
I see. Oh, I'm gonna get one. He died.
And this one right here I did last night. I did a whole picture yesterday. Drew all of them and inked all of them. Okay.
Okay. You it wasn't that great. Okay, I'm going to do a wrap-up because it's almost time for you to leave and for the next class to come in. And I want you to know it's real important, you know, that you know how special you are. That each one of you know how special you are. And I want you to start looking in that mirror and when you look in the mirror, I want you to start working on how special you are. Now the only way that you can be special in that mirror all the time is the way you act and the way you treat yourself and the way you treat other people. So every time that you look in the mirror, I want you to work on being really special little boys and girls. And I want you to know that parents think that you're special. We think, you know, you have children and you know, we think that they're just so very special. And I want to share real quick with you. If I can find it. I think I know it. I'm gonna share real quick with you how I felt about my son when he when my son was little. I wrote this poem about me, and that's the young man that's sitting there right now. And because I felt like, oh my gosh, you know, he is so special. But even though he was special, you know what happened to me? I started to worry. And I said, you know, because I'm a single mother. It's just me and my son and my daughter. And I said, oh my gosh, can I be the best mother I can be? And it was really scary. Parents get scared sometimes. And they get scared that they're not going to be able to treat you as good as they should. And so sometimes they don't. Sometimes we get, worried and everything, and we're not as nice as we'd like to be. But I wrote this about my son. When I look in my son's face, I think of God's loving grace. He molded and made us with loving clay, each different in a special way. the same trusting arms of a newborn babe, a new generation, a brand new age. The hope of the world in his hands hold, looking towards the future, watching it unfold. There's a special strength in his little contour. I hope he can bear the pain he must endure. I want him to stand strong. I want him to be a man, stand tall and strong, to make wise decisions, know right from wrong. Yes, when I look at my son's face, I thank God for his loving grace. You wouldn't believe that a grown-up could be nervous in front of children. But some of the mistakes that I made is because even though you're fantastic, even grown-ups get nervous sometimes. So I want you to know that grown-ups are not perfect, and that's all right. And I want to leave you with a special thing that I wrote and I try to do every time that I talk to young people. And this is a prayer. And this is a prayer that I wrote for my children when they were very small, about your age. And this is called a prayer for my children. I want to give my children every material joy in the world. But Lord God in heaven above, help me always give them love. Keeping these things in mind, please help me give my time. Let me listen to problems deep, even those that make me weep. Help me always understand when I'm not doing the best I can. Give me strength to stop and say, sorry, honey, it can't be that way. And help me know when they're afraid and anger comes from things unsaid. Give me patience to watch and wait, trusting my teaching will keep them straight. And when they're grown and ready to leave, let me release them, feeling pleased. A prayer for my children. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mrs. Williams. And Daniel, we enjoyed your pictures. Boys and girls, I'm going to ask for Mrs. White's stand first. Put your hands together. Share with you about some things that they like to do very, very much. Wilson, turn around. And I know that you're going to want to hear what they have to say. We have two guests. We have Mrs. Thelma Williams, who lives in Austin. She is a writer. She writes poems. She writes words that mean very much to her about her life, about feelings and emotions that she has felt in her life. And her son Daniel, who is an illustrator, an artist. And a little bit later on, he's going to show you some of the pictures that he has drawn since he was a little bitty boy about your age. So right now we're going to turn those listening ears on and we're going to listen to Mrs. Williams and to her son Daniel.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Miss Thelma Williams, and I'm going to talk to you for a few minutes about African American history. Some people call it Black history. Some people call it Black heritage. So for just a few minutes, we're going to talk about African American history. And an African American is a person with skin color like mine. Anybody in here have skin color like mine?
No, not me.
You're right, you don't.
Not me.
So, not just one kind, but all kinds of darker skin is an African American. Light and darker. Anyway, we come from a very special background. And one of the things that's real important is a long time ago, we were brought over here from a place called Africa. And we were brought over here on ships. And so first of all, I want to tell you a little about my family. And it's all right if your family came over here different, but this is about my family. One of the things about a story is when you're telling a story, And if it's your story, then you have to tell it the way your life was. So this is about my story. Okay, I want to tell you a little about that. Okay, what I want to do first of all in that is I want to share with you about some things that happened to me when I was a little girl. And I want to for you to meet the most important African American in my life. And there was two people that I spent a lot of time with when I was a little girl. And those people are not with us anymore. But when they were alive, they were the most special people in my life. And that was my grandfather and my grandmother. And at my grandfather and grandmother's house, they had a big old porch out front. And I love that porch. And I used to go down there all the time, and we'd sit on that porch. And some of the most fun things in my life was sitting there with my grandfather, because he was the smartest man I thought that I'd ever met. And so I want you to meet in poetic style my grandfather in the poem I call The Porch. The porch brings memories of my grandfather and me. All the wisdom of the ages he gently helped me see. I wanted to know everything my mind wanted far and wide. He'd tell me over and over, God can make you wise. He said, pray for understanding and courage to make a day. Pray for strength and wisdom, and God will soothe the way. Remembering my grandmother as I followed her through the house and marveled at her know-how as I gently brushed her hair. She would tell me all the secrets that little girls want to know.
She knew who was sleeping together and who was beginning to show.
We'd look at the soap operas, and with a twinkle in her eyes, she'd tell me all the tricks she pulled when she was just a child. We sat on the porch when my childhood was careless and free, and talked about the future as I wondered what I'd be. The porch, my grandparents. I want you to know something about history. The things that you do today will be history tomorrow. The things that you do today will be history tomorrow. I bet you didn't know that you someday would be a part of history. Yeah. The things that you do today will be history tomorrow. I set this up, and this is just a little bit of history that I brought about my community. And I came from a community called St. John's. And St. John's is not too far from here. But and you don't know probably anything about St. John's, but what you might know about is Highland Mall. Did you know that Highland Mall was owned by an African American? Not Highland Mall, but the land that Highland Mall is owned. When I was a little girl, that was owned by African Americans. And I live in a community called St. John, and that whole community was owned by an African American. And so the reason I'm showing you this is I want you to show how during my childhood these things were happening, and I never thought about history, but now they're history. Now they're in the history books. So the things that you do today is history tomorrow. Okay, I want you to think of something that the theme that I'm talking about today is called a mirror of love. And when you look in the mirror, what do you see?
Yourself.
Okay. And the most important thing for you to learn how to do is control yourself. What I mean by that, control yourself. If the teacher tells you that you're not to talk, you know you're the only one that can control that. So inside of you, you say, I should not talk. When the teacher tells you to study your lesson, then you think, I'm the one that can do that, so I should get my lesson. The mirror, your reflection. I want you to remember that, because that helps you be the best person you can be. When you get ready to talk about somebody, then think about your own mirror. And are you the best person that you can be? I want you to always think about that. Look at your mirror in that. A mirror of love. And then when you think about that mirror, try to make yourself the most loving person you can be. And the best way to do that is try not to hurt other people. A mirror of love.
Come on.
Now I want to introduce to you my brothers and sisters. And in introducing my brothers and sisters, I thought, what do mothers feel when she have all these little children? And I thought about, there's 6 of us in our family. And so this is called Mother, Here We Come. Gladys came first, and to your surprise, a beautiful baby girl opened her eyes. Wilter kicking hard, saying, let me out and leave me alone. I have things to do and places to roam. Benny pushed gently, saying, you know the deal. I have structures to design and houses to build. Percy came fighting whoever came her way, building a foundation for the business she runs today. Lonzo lay back, taking things in stride. He's just a happy-go-lucky kind of guy. Thelma, that's me, riding in the rough, hoping someday to sell some of this stuff. Mother, hundreds of years of love bring greetings your way, thanking God for allowing us to honor you today. Mother, here we come. I want you to introduce to you real quickly a great treat. I want you to meet one of the most special people in my life, and he's going to share with you some of the things that he's doing. I want to introduce to you my son, Daniel.
Hello.
Hello.
Me, I'm an artist. And, as I grew up and I learned how to draw, eventually a story started to form. These story right here. These right here are 3 of my characters. And all of them are in one of the stories that I'm going to have coming out later this year. And these are some of the other ones.
Tell them about when you got started.
And can any of y'all guess when I started drawing?
Drawing? When you were little.
When I was 10 years old. When I was 10 years old, I couldn't draw. I couldn't draw nothing. I could draw a stick figure.
I have a heart. Oh.
And that's all I could draw. And all of this comes from taking art classes.
And lots of hard work and practice.
And lots of practice. And any one of you could probably learn to draw better than I can. And I'm not lying. Because if y'all start right now, any one of y'all could probably do a lot better than this is by the time y'all get my age. It all depends on what you want to be and how hard you want it.
I don't want to be like that. I don't need to.
Then what do you want to be?
I want to be a football player.
Then you got to learn how to play football, and you got to learn,
I already know how to play.
and you got to try to be the best you can be.
I do.
You got to be good in school, because if you're not good in school, you can't play football. You got to get your lessons. If you don't get your lessons, you can't play football. If you don't make good grades, you can't play football.
I play football.
And then you got to think about what you're going to do after you finish playing football.
Go play basketball.
Lies mapped out good.
Don't want me to play again no more.
Okay, how about giving Danny a hand? This is his very second presentation in front of little people.
Guess what his first one was?
The first one was 30 minutes ago. Okay. What the most important, one of the reasons I wanted to bring Danny is I wanted to show you what you could do if you just make up your mind, number one, that you want to do something. Then make up your mind some things that you want to do. You can decide on more than one thing. You have a lot of time. You can change a lot of times. But start thinking about that you want to do something. The main thing is don't ever forget that you can be anything you want to be. But you have to want it, and you have to work hard. And if you're doing something that you really like, work is fun. Only time work is not fun is when you're doing something that you don't think will benefit you. So when you go to school and when you get your lessons, sometimes you think, oh, this is not fun. But if you think that this is what you need to do to really have the kind of fun that we're having and do the kind of things that you want to do, then you need to study real hard. I want to introduce you to my son in poetic style. And when I was first had Daniel, I thought, you know, all of you are so beautiful. You're beautiful young people. And you know, your mothers love you so much. And so when a parent have a child, they think, oh, this is the most special thing in the whole world. And that's the way I felt when I had my son. And you want your son to be the best that he can be. But sometimes it's kind of scary. Sometimes you think you're not going to be able to do everything that you want to do for him. And so this is how I felt when I had my son. This is called My Son. When I look at my son's face, I think of God's loving grace. He molded and made us with loving clay, each different in a special way. The same trusting arms of a newborn babe, a new generation, a brand new age. The hope of the world in his hands hold, looking towards the future, watching it unfold. There's a special strength in his little contour. I want him to bear the pain he must endure. I want him to be a man, stand tall and strong, to make wise decisions, know right from wrong. Yes, when I look at my son's face, I thank God for his loving grace. My son. I want to close with a poem that I always close with when I'm talking to a group. And one thing I want to go back again to this mirror of love that I'm talking about. It is up to you And we need you to do it. It is up to you to start making this a loving world. And the only way you can make this a loving world is you have to be a loving person. So when you look in the mirror, look at all the kinds of things that you can do to make yourself loving. When you're thinking about hitting somebody, think about your mirror and think about, is this to be a loving person? Is this the way? When you think about talking about someone, ask yourself, is this the way to be a loving person? When you hurt somebody's feelings, ask yourself, is this the way to be a loving person? And look in the mirror. And if a loving person do not look back, change and start doing what you're supposed to do so that that person that looks back at you will be a loving person. We have to make this a loving world. Look in your mirror. And I want to close with the thing that all parents want, worse than anything at all, is they want their children to be okay. And this is a prayer. And this is a prayer for my children. I want to give my children every material joy in the world. But Lord God in heaven above, help me always give them love. Keeping these things in mind, please help me give my time. Let me listen to problems deep, even those that make me weak. Help me always understand when I'm not doing the best I can. Give me strength to stop and say, sorry, honey, it can't be that way. Help me know when they're afraid and anger comes from things unsaid. Give me patience to watch and wait, trusting my teaching will keep them straight. And when they're all grown and ready to leave, let me release them, feeling pleased. A prayer for my children. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Williams. And Daniel, let's give him a big hand. Interested in what our speakers have to say today. We have some budding artists out there that will be especially interested in what your son will be saying to us also. We have two special guests, boys and girls, two very special guests at school. They are Mrs. Thelma Williams. She is here from Austin. She lives here in Austin, and she's going to be sharing with you something that she enjoys doing very much. She enjoys sharing information, she enjoys speaking to people, and she enjoys writing. And she's going to be sharing all of those things today. She also brought her son with her this morning. Her son is Daniel. He's in the back. And he is involved currently in a project that he enjoys doing very much also. He's an artist. And not only that, but he's putting his art into a form of business. And he'll be sharing with that with you too. So I'm going to let them take over and talk to you. I want you to listen, and if we have an opportunity at the very end, you'll have a chance to ask some questions.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Miss Thelma Williams, and I'm a writer, and I also own my own business. My business is called A-Town Publishing. My son is a writer and an artist, and he also owns his own business. His business is called Williams Works, and he'll tell you a little about that. We've talked a couple of sessions, and we've talked to the little ones. So I'm gonna forego that. You're a little older, so I'm gonna just get right on down to it. I came to share with you some things about African American history. And this is Black Heritage Week. And every February they allow us to come in school and talk about African American history. Now, only thing about that is people with skin like mine, African American, we're African Americans all year round. So our history is not just in February. I want you to really recognize the fact that you're important the whole year. not just in February. Now, what I want to do real quick is I want to introduce my family and my ancestors with you. And I'm going to do that in poetic style. And I'm going to do that right away. I want to introduce where I came from, you know, from my grandfather. My grandfather told me about where I came from. And what I did is I put those things that he told me into my writings. And one thing that's important as you think about what you want to be when you grow up, you want to think about that the things that you feel inside, the things that you listen to, the things that are around you are the things that are most important to you. And that's the beginning of being a writer. If you ever want to write anything, you write about the things that are around you, the things that you know the most about first. And so from being with my grandfather and listening to him, these are the things that I know the most about. Starting with where I came from in aftermath of slavery. We came to the docks all strapped in chains, mothers, fathers, children the same, taken from our homeland without giving a thought. Couldn't speak the language, didn't know we were bought. We started new families in God's name. Breeding good slaves was a master's game. Buying and selling was a business affair. Splitting our families without a care. A trend was started a long time ago. Why can't we stop it now that we know? Why can't we change the master plan and stop splitting our families and take a stand? Some children some children look at television and books and say, where's my father? Does he look as I look? There are so many pleasures watching children grow, and experience many fathers will never know. We passed through troubles from earlier days when fathers were head of the house, proudly in place. Something happened to some of our fathers of pride, joblessness and welfare in the white man's ride. As caring parents, we must make a plan to hold the family together if we can. A mother and father started our lives. We need both parents. Both should provide. So as you think about growing up and becoming parents, I want you to remember that. It's up to you to hold your family together. Inside, aftermath of slavery. You can clap. One thing about African Americans, when you go to church, you know, in African American church, when you go to church, a lot of African Americans are Baptists, and they say amen. Anybody ever thought about it? I don't want you to say, oh, amen, but I want you to understand why we do that. And one of the reasons why that's done in our churches is that it's the same thing as clapping. Is that it just makes the person speaking feel good and make them work harder. And that's why in the African American church they say amen. I want you to, instead of saying amen though, you can clap. I want you to meet my mother. And one of the things that I shared with one of the early classes that sometimes, you know, sometimes we take our parents for granted. Sometimes we think that just because they're parents, they have to be there. We take them for granted. And I did that sort of with my mother. But as I grown, then I stopped and I did a tribute to her. And this is called Mother's Way. And this was my way of going back and thanking my mother for always being there for me. Just thinking about my mother and her life in 71. I don't know what her dreams were or if her life's work is done. She goes to work daily working as a maid for the white man. She has so much pride in her duties doing her work the best she can. At home, she cares for my dad, and my family adds to her load. I wonder why she does it, where she gets the energy to fill this road. She cooks, clean, a perfect housewife, and work out every day. Her love for us is shown in the special care she displays. I wonder what her dreams were and if we spoil a chance. I wonder what her life would have been without our many demands. I don't want to be like my mother, but I respect her daily toil. I thank God for my mother because her way gave me a choice. And her way allowed me to be a writer I am today, called Mother's Way. Thank you. Every dad is different. I want you to meet my dad. And I didn't always like my dad. You know, sometimes I thought he was mean. Sometimes I thought he did things to hurt me. In that. But one day after being sick, he was sitting on the bed, and so he said, you know, he said, I am nothing but a bonehead. He said, sometimes I do things to hurt people. And so I went in the room, and it seemed like that was the first time I got a flash of how lucky I was to have a dad. And I gave a tribute to my dad, and it's called Bonehead. My dad thinks he's a bonehead with nothing to tell the world. But he left for God some followers to forever carry the word. A bonehead, says he? Well, maybe. He left trails of regret, causing pain for all to see. A bonehead? Well, maybe. There must be a better description of a man past 17 to tell of gifts of living for all his generations to see. Many, many years of surviving, over 30 in a central home. Children, grandchildren, and greats can return from places they roamed. Dad and Mom are still together. Doesn't matter the reasons why. Grown, we often visit this bonehead. Our beginning will never die. My dad in Bonehead. It's a tiny bit of my African American history. My theme today is a mirror of love. A mirror of love. When you look in the mirror, who do you see? Okay. The most important thing about your own particular mirror is that mirror is the reflection of your outside, but the way you really look is a reflection of your inside. The mirror is a reflection of your outside, but the way you really are is a reflection of your inside. In other words, it's up to you to be the best person you can be. It is up to you to be the best person you can be. When you talk about someone else, you put them down, you're not being the best person you can be. When you hurt somebody's feelings, you're not being the best person you can be. And when you hurt somebody's feelings and look in the mirror, you ought to see somebody that doesn't look very good. So what you want to do with a mirror of love is you want to always look in the mirror and try to see something that really looks good from your inside. And the only way that you can do that is to stop hurting each other. Mirror of love. The history we live today will be what you are today will be history tomorrow. And this is just a little about my history. I came from a community called St. John. And St. John is the same area that Highland Mall is now. That used to be the St. John that I came from. And St. John was owned by a person just like me. St. John was owned by a black man. Highland Mall, all that area was owned by a black man. This is the daughter of the man that owned St. John. And on all of our deeds of our property, A.K. Black is on here. And this is her daughter. This is his daughter. And he was the first black millionaire in Austin, Texas. So that was my history. That was when I was growing up, that was happening. And now that's called history. And that's a part of our black history right here in this area. And that's really important to know. It's important to know that we've always done important things. Okay, I'm going to break Danny up because I don't want you to miss him and that. We don't have much time. We have too much to share with the little time that we have. Daniel, my son.
Hello, I'm Daniel Williams. And these right here are some of my characters. I have over 277 characters that I have yet to draw. And I'm writing a story to go along with all these characters. And I started drawing when I was about 10 years old. And when I was 10 years old, I could draw stick figures. Stick figures. That's what I'm saying. If you can draw better than that now, then by the time you get my age, you should be able to draw better than me.
I can draw things like that.
And these right here are basically simple drawings. Thing that makes them look good is color. In the next year, on the market, you can see some of these characters in a comic book written and drawn by me.
What are their names?
Well, they have a whole bunch of names. Like this one's name is Beguile. These right here are named after Greek letters. Omega, Delta, Phi, Psi, and Gamma. And some of these characters like these two right here have whole books written just about them. Or going to have books written just about them. And all of these are original. No copies, no substitutions. And I'm gonna have 2 books coming out. One of them is gonna be set in 1993 called Agenda. And Agenda itself is gonna have at least 6 or 7 books, just about it. And then I have one set in the future to show how humanity has grown from our ignorance now, called Starfire Chronicles.
Daniel Williams. As you can see, Daniel have on an outfit that I call Coming and Going. And with the imprint of Let's Stop Putting Each Other Down in it. This is a small t-shirt. One of the little ones that we would talk to. And it also has the Let's Stop. You notice that the small t-shirt is a lot smaller. The emblem on the small t-shirt is a lot smaller, yet it's the same thing. And that's what screen printing does. And one of the things that's important about that, and one of the reasons why I'm sharing this with your class especially, is to kind of bring in careers, to bring in how to develop a product to make a career. Daniel, some of the things that he's doing, pretty soon he'll be coming out with his own t-shirt and his own wall plaque. Now that will come out long before before his book series. And so we're working on that now. In fact, that will be out within the next couple of months. His first t-shirt with some of these characters on it. So you'll be able to buy his characters. If you know, what you do when you develop a product is you create a following in that. And so you create people that's going to work with you. You create a following. And so that's really important. Okay, a product. Okay, how about, say, a coaster? Again, so let's stop putting each other down, which is this one book. We have a whole product line. So each thing that is sold from this product line is different money. This book sells for $2.50. Okay, the t-shirt sells for $8. And so you go on and on and on in developing a product. And so it's real important for you to understand that Daniel started writing at drawing at age 10. And so that should be kind of close to your age, or a little bit more. And so if you start now, by the time you're at 20 like him, he's 21, you can already be in business for yourself. You can already be ready to make money. But the only way you're going to do it is you're going to have to listen to what your teachers say and do more than what the teachers say. You know, the teacher said read one book, read 5. The teacher said write 1 page, write 5. The teacher might not even want all 5. Just give her the 1. and you keep the other for yourself. In other words, what I'm saying is you got to develop your mind so that you can be and do what you want to do. Nobody can make you do that, and nobody can help you do that. They can assist you, but you have to make a decision to be something yourself. And you need to start making that decision right now, like he did at age 10. And now we go out and if we go out and do a show and we sell several $700 worth of books and t-shirts and so forth, guess what? He get to put that money in his pocket right now. You get to buy whatever you want to buy. He got about a $5,000 collection of comic books. Start collecting comic books at age 10. That $5,000 collection that he got might be worth $10,000 already. In about 10 years, it might be worth $20,000. Just collecting comics. So almost anything that you want to be, you can make money from. But you have to develop it, and it has to be something that somebody else wants. But you can be anything you want to be, and that's just really. If you get nothing else from what we are talking about today, I want you to know that what you're doing today is history for tomorrow. You need to remember your mirror of love. When you start hurting people, look in that mirror. Now, if you're hurting somebody real bad, that person in that mirror is going to be ugly. Because something bad is coming from the inside. And if we're going to change the world and we're going to start getting loving, then you guys are going to have to do it. Because we grown-ups have already messed it up pretty bad. And it has to be changed by you. We don't even have time to change it. So remember your mirror of love. That's real important. Remember your mirror of love. I got to do a closure. And what I like to do I'm working on my first children's story too. This will be coming out in a couple of months, called Dick, Jane, and Sally, 1947. And what this is about this little girl's first lesson in African American history, where her grandfather first started helping her be proud of being black. One of the things about African Americans that's really sad in the United States is that we haven't had the kind of things in school to help us really feel pretty and be proud of what we are. And that's why you have speakers coming over. I want to finish with a thing that I always finish with. And first of all, I want to do, I'm honoring my son today. Don't you know that anybody in the family could be honored? And I'm honoring my son today because I'm very proud of his achievements. And so I'm sharing with you real quickly what happened when I had him. This is a poem about my son. It's called My Son. When I look at my son's face, I think of God's loving grace. He molded and made us with loving clay, each special in a different way. The same trusting arms of a newborn babe, a new generation, a brand new age. The hope of the world in his hands hold, looking towards the future, watching it unfold. There's a special strength in his little contour. I want him to bear the pain he must endure. I want him to be a man, stand tall and strong, to make wise decisions, know right from wrong. Yes, as I look at my son's face, I thank God for his loving grace. My son. And I want to leave you with how much as parents we love you. And a thing I call a prayer for my children. I want to give my children every material joy in the world. But Lord God in heaven above, help me always give them love. Keeping these things in mind, please help me give my time. Let me listen to problems deep, even those that make me weak. Help me always understand when I'm not doing the best I can. Give me strength to stop and say, sorry, honey, it can't be that way. Help me know when they're afraid and anger comes from things unsaid. Give me patience to watch and wait, trusting that my teaching will keep them straight. And when they're grown and ready to leave, let me release them feeling pleased. A prayer for my children. We have any time? You can ask a person. A prayer for my children.
I mean, how did y'all do it? Did you come into an office and ask somebody?
No, our office is at our home. We just got a little office there right at home, and I start writing. I produce my own books. I publish my own book. I'm an independent publisher, and everything that we do is right there at home. You can do a whole bunch of things without going to the office. That's only one way to do it. There's a lot of other ways that you can do it. And hopefully when you get ready to do some things like that, I'm hoping to be available to help you get there.
I mean, when did you started in your office? What did you do after you started in your office?
Okay, first like I wrote down the poems, and then I got them typed, and then I got them ran off from the computer, and then I took them to a place to do the printing, and I got them printed. And then all that I paid with my money. So I looked in the phone book and I found everybody that do the different works, and I took my stuff over there and I said, I want you to do this, and I will pay you X amount of money for it. And that's how the books came about. We got 5 books over there published.
When did you start writing?
I started writing at age 30. See, I was already over the hill. My son started working on his product at age 10.
How long have you been in business?
I've been in business since 1988 now. I published my first book in 1988. So I've only been in business for 4 years.
What did you learn in elementary school?
Everything that I learned in school I use today. First of all, this book, Big Jane and Sally, 1942, is some of the pain that I went through in elementary school. So what I did is those feelings I had in elementary school, I went back and put them in a book. So those things, everything that you learn, you go back and use in some way or another. I started to learn how to spell a little bit and how to write a little bit. But what happened to me is I wasn't very smart. And guess what I had to do? I had to go over and over and over and over again, even after I got out of school, just to learn how to write. That's why it took so long. And that's why I'm here for you. I'm here for you because if somebody would have been there helping me when I was as young as you are, it might have not taken so long. But there wasn't nobody there to talk to me and to let me know that I could do some things, to let me know that I was special. You know, I had some people when I was in school that didn't think I was special at all. And it made me look in that mirror and not feel good about myself. And so I want you to develop a mirror where when you look in it, you feel good about yourself. And I want you to be special. That's why I'm here. That's the only reason I'm here, to help you be special. It's not about me. I'm here, it's about you. So you will be special.
What did you like about
You, and you, and you, and you. The most exciting thing about what I do is sharing it with you. That's the most fun thing that I could ever do. It's just spend time with you. And knowing that maybe something that my son and I say might help you start working on what you want to be a little bit earlier. You know, so maybe you won't waste the kind of time that I wasted in that. And by me learning some things in school, then I help him not waste his time. You know, I help him to try to develop the best that he could be. I mean, he's an artist and he does a fantastic job with that. But besides that, he do something a lot more than that. This is his script. I mean, you know, I know you can't see the words on it, but you can see there's a lot of words on it. This is just one of his scripts. He have about 7 or 8 of these already written. You know, when he was in high school, he couldn't use the computer. But I bought a computer because I knew that was the wave of the future. And now all his work is done on the computer. And so even now, if any of you are lucky to have a computer in your house, there's so many things that you can start doing right now. And that's why I say it's important. If the teacher asks you to do something, do that, and then try to do a little bit more. You know, the teacher that influenced me the very most was, in fact, he's the assistant superintendent of schools now, Mr. Akins. And you know, he wasn't talking to me because I don't think he was kind of a male chauvinist back then. You know, he was a sports guy, and he always talked to the guys. And so he didn't even know the girls were listening to him. He was a civics teacher. And he used to say, my man, he said, do what you're supposed to do, and then do a little bit more, just a little bit more. And all my life, the thing that rung in my ear as I strived to be something was do what you're supposed to do and a little bit more. And here he was, not talking to me, but I heard him. And so you don't ever know who's watching you. So that's why it's important to be the best you can be at all times. It's real important to be the best you can be. I've enjoyed you.
I have been listening to Mrs. Williams speak. This is the third presentation she's given this morning. And every time she's spoken, I've learned something new from what she said. I'm very lucky that I get to listen to her 6 times. And you only get to listen to her once. But I think that you probably understand, you probably have heard something that she said today that you're going to take with you and you're going to use. And maybe you're going to use it for a very, very long time. Let's thank her one more time before we go.
He was in that restaurant. They got nasty in that restaurant. They got nasty in the restaurant. He ain't come there and have no comment. He ain't come there. I'm not putting that no comment. He was in the time.
When they get in trouble, I pick it up.
I know. I'm gonna.
Your teacher's gonna kill me. Yeah, what I can do, let me do this. Let me get it and maybe we can run some more. You know, and that way, you know, because otherwise they'll kill you. And he'll give him over 2 or 3 hundred. That's just what it's about. That was real good. That Let me change that phone number on there. I'm your teacher. Mrs. Taylor. That's okay.
right here, I like to see that one side. I have a whole bunch of sketch pages like this right here.
Oh, those are business cards for the old papers.
Yes, I do. Some of
Just about, you know.
Anybody left in Miss Tagg's
this one right
class?
here. Actually, I've already and that one's been redesigned. A lot of like the Thelma was. This is the same character except I've changed it. And actually, I have another part of it where it's totally black and silk. It's not here right now. It's like
Okay, guys.
Okay, Mr.
and this one right here, I've changed it.
Okay, wait a minute. The way this goes, you guys, is we're going to stand here until all heads. The rules are this. How this works. We'll let you guys stay here until the class is here. Then we got to be quietly.
all the way. I do come all the way to here.
The other classes come in. Ready to go.
Michael, find a place. There's a spot right there. Right there. Michael, sit on your bottom. Chris, sit over a little bit. Y'all sit. Eddie, Michael, sit over here. Chris. We still have one more class coming in, so Tandria and Miguel, you can either sit at the end over here or you can get up here. Shelley, scoot over. Yes, Shelley, scoot over. Okay, fine. Rachel, no, you can find out. Marcus, you were perfect. Go back.
Actually, this one right here, I already have
Now they go back where you were.
We're going to do a shape shift.
Alan on your bottom, Clifton on your bottom, Lenny, are you on your bottom? Eddie on your bottom, Rachel on your bottom. Eddie, Monkey Miguel on your bottom, please. What? Front.
This right here.
Okay, guys. We're out. Shakita was to leave.
Don't worry, you'll see my work here.
Okay, let's go. Jason.
Yeah, otherwise I might step on.
Yeah, okay. We're a little bit too close to the front. Back row, please scoot back just a little bit. That's good. That's good. It's too far, Rachel. Okay. Scoot back a little bit.
Oh, where is it? Thelma.
Our special guests today, and they've been talking to pre-Ks and the kindergartens, and the fifth graders just left. They have a special message to share with you, and one that I know that you're going to enjoy very much. I want you to make sure those listening ears are on. Our special guests are from Austin. They are Mrs. Thelma Williams. She is an author. She is a lecturer. She speaks to people. She writes. She owns a business. Her son is Daniel, and he's operating the camera in the back. He is a young writer and an illustrator, an artist, and he's been working very hard to develop a business of his own as well. And they're going to talk to you about what they do and why they like doing it so much. And I want you to listen very carefully to what they have to say.
keep from saying the same thing over and over again so I can stand myself, I keep changing up a little bit, but the basic theme is the same. The history, the things that you do today is the history for tomorrow. That's one of the themes of what I'm talking about. I'm talking about African American history. Some people call it black history. Some people call it black heritage. And it's about people that are African American, that are brown, or from a black African American culture in that. And that's me. That's who I am. I'm a person like that. One of the reasons why you have lectures in February is that because some of the things that happen with and about our people got left out of the history books. So what we do is come here and try to fill in and try to give you some information and let you know how special you are. You see Malcolm X up here and you know that that's been a Malcolm X movie. And Malcolm X was one of the leaders. And you see this picture here is Martin Luther King and Malcolm X together, shoulder to shoulder. And sometime in your life you might hear that they wasn't, that they didn't like each other. But at the time that both of them died, both of them talked about the same thing. And both of them talked about how important it was for us to do well in school and try to get good jobs. But this just show you a little about history. And then I put my works up here, and this shows that I'm hopefully will be a part of your history. When you get to be grown up, I'm hoping that I will be in the regular textbooks. I don't want anybody to have to come to school and talk about me because I want them to write me in the textbooks from the beginning. So if you do something great, then hopefully the world will be so that you will be in the regular books too. So that's one of the things that I want to share with you. I want to share another thing with you. That my theme for the day is called A Mirror of Love. And what a mirror of love is about is when you look in the mirror, what do you see? Okay, see yourself. And that's what a mirror of love is about. Now, right now, you might look in the mirror and you might not see anybody that you even like that well. Because if you spend a lot of time hurting other people and talking about other people and hurting other people's feelings, when you look in the mirror, then you might not see that mirror of love. And so what we're talking about when we talk about a mirror of love is how to start developing one. And one way to do that is to try to treat other people nice. And to treat yourself nice too. So we'll come back a little bit to the mirror of love. Okay, I'm going to tell you a story. I haven't done this before. This is a story about Dick, Jane, and Sally. And this was written in the year, this happened in the year of 1947. So that happened a long time ago, way back in the olden days. And this is about a little girl that was 7 years old. And this little girl that was 7 years old, the way I got the idea of the mirror of love, she looked in the mirror. My son's going to tell you a little about these stick figures in a minute and that. But she looked in the mirror, and this book is not published yet, but she looked in the mirror and she was very, very sad. Oh, she was a sad little girl. And that, so why was she so sad? She was sad because she thought she was ugly. She didn't see anything pretty in the mirror. And so, but she said, Easter was coming. And at Easter, her mother straightened her hair, because she had little short, stubby hair, and put big ribbons on her hair, and she got a pretty dress and patent leather shoes. Patent leather shoes are a little bit like the ones you have on, little shiny shoes. And boy, this really made her happy. So she said, her name was Betty, and she said, I'm not pretty today. She said, but I'm going to be pretty Easter, because she's going to put on all these pretty clothes. And so what Betty did is she was thinking all day long about getting pretty clothes for Easter and that. And she had a brother named George and some cousins named Bill. And they used to play marbles and so forth and that. And she played with the dolls. And she did a lot of different things that day as she looked forward to Easter. But it was one thing that bothered her a whole bunch. And she was really sad. She was sad because she looked in the mirror and she had little brown skin and little nubby hair. But every day she went to school, she had this book called Dick, Jane, and Sally. And the kids in the book had blonde hair and blue eyes and long hair, and it was always straight. And they had this pretty white house and white picket fence and little puppy named Spot and Fluffy. And she didn't live in a house like that. And it made her very sad. She wanted to know why was she different. And she didn't want to be different. And so she talked to her brother George and that, but he was just a little kid and he wasn't any help. So then she went down to talk to the wisest man that she knew, and that man was her grandfather. And this is the porch that she sat on and talked to her grandfather all the time. So she went down to her grandfather's house, and so she called him Big Papa. And she said, Big Papa. She said, why can't I be like Sally and Jane? She said, why not look like this? And Big Papa said, child, said, you're special. Said, you're special just like you are. You don't have to look like anyone else. And he sat, and so she thought, that ain't what I want to hear. I want to know why I look like this. And then he sat in his chair, and his head kind of went back and that, and kind of eyes kind of rolled. He got real quiet and kind of scared her because she'd never seen a Big Papa look like that. And he looked like he just wandered all the way in his mind, in his thoughts. And then he came back. And he said, child, he said, you are very, very special. He said, what happened a long time ago? He said, we lived in a place called Africa. And he said, some people came and put us in chains and put us on ships and brought us over to this country. He said, we didn't really want to come to this country at that time. He said, but now that we're here, he said, this is our country. And he said, we are just as special in this country as anybody here. And so she looked and she thought about that. She said, Big Papa, I don't like them bad people. I don't like them bad people that brought us over here and we didn't want to come. He said, no, no, child. That's not the way to think. He said, you cannot get angry because someone else do something wrong. He said, the thing that's really, really special about us is that we know how to love and we know how to forgive. And then, so Betty went back to the mirror and she thought about what her grandfather said. And just a special, warm, loving glow came to her. And she went back and looked in the mirror, and all of a sudden she saw a special little brown girl, and a big smile came on her face. And that's the story of Dick, Jane, and Sally, taken in 1947. Introduce you to the mirror of love. And I want you to remember that. So I want to real quickly tell you how I honored. Did anybody figure out yet that I was that little girl? No, I wasn't Sally. I was Betty. I was a little girl that wasn't very proud of myself. Okay, the thing that's really special about that is that when you first start learning how to write, what you write about first is the thing that you know most about, and that's yourself. It's really a true story. And from that, I gave a special tribute to the little old man that sat on that porch. It is called The Porch. The porch brings memories of my grandfather and me. All the wisdom of the ages he gently helped me see. I wanted to know everything. My mind wandered far and wide. He'd tell me over and over, God can make you wise. He said, pray for understanding, courage to make a day. Pray for strength and wisdom, and God will soothe the way. Remembering my grandmother as I followed her through the house, and marveled at her know-how as I gently brushed her hair. She'd tell me all the secrets that little girls want to know. She knew who was sleeping together and who was beginning to show. We looked at the soap opera, and with a twinkle in her eye, she'd tell me all the tricks she pulled when she was just a child. We sat on that porch when my childhood was carelessly free and talked about the future as I wondered what I'd be, the poet. Okay, I'm gonna stop right now and bring my son on because I don't want you to miss him, and I want you to see what kinds of things that he want to show you, and then I'll come back and do a closure.
My name is Daniel Williams, and these right here are some of my pictures. And I started drawing when I was 10 years old. I drew stick figures, mad stick figures. And all of these drawings you see came from my imagination, no place else. And all of these are going to be in a comic book I'm coming out with within the next 2 years. The name of the comic book is going to be Agenda. And each character, like these are Mentackers, and then alien that came to this world about 30, 40 years ago.
Agenda or agenda?
Agenda.
Agenda.
I colored these with markers. I have a set of 40 markers, and all of these characters you see are colored with them same 40 markers. You gotta remember, when I was your age, I couldn't draw any of these things. Any of them.
What kind of things did you do to learn?
Well, I've been in art classes since I was about y'all ages, and even back then I couldn't draw. Well, they taught me the concepts of drawing, you know, the coloring and the shape and the form, and how you can look at things and, you know, determine how it is. Yeah. All of these. And some of these characters, like Nimrod, have their own, are gonna have their own stories just about them. Nothing yet. And I'm going to come out for a second one, which is going to be set in the future. It's going to be called Starfire Chronicles. And it's going to be about what happened to the human race after the year 3010, about 1,000 years from now. No?
That's
I just started drawing.
Besides drawing, the teacher mentioned that he's also a writer. And this is just the beginning of his script and that. And as you can see, it's written in play form and that. It's very well developed. And then he already got about 10 of these scripts to support his characters. It's a very, very powerful writer. If I would be bragging as a mother, I would say that I've had a natural writer. And that I think he's been modest. I think we'll see him in pictures like Star Wars or something to that caliber. I think that's the kind of writing he's doing. So I think you're going to see him on
When
the
I
big
was in
screen.
school, my teachers had the hardest time getting me to write. Now I wish I would have learned how to write then, because I would have started this whole thing sooner. I probably would have had my comic book out by now.
See, it's real important what you do now and what you learn. It's real important that you start thinking about what you want to be when you grow up and you start working on it. There are some things that you can do right now. You don't wait until you grow up to become what you need to be. You start it right now. So that's real important. Your mirror. I keep bringing this mirror back because this mirror is the thing that make you become the kind of person that can learn how to write. If you keep to your mirror and you look in that mirror and those things that come back to you are nice and respectable, it really gives you the quietness inside yourself so that you can do some of the things that your teacher wants you to do. Like when the teacher tells you to sit down and not talk. Think about your mirror, because that mirror will help you decide whether or not you want to be someone that's likable or not likable. And you're the only one that can correct your behavior. Your teacher can try so hard, but you're the one that have to make yourself beautiful. You're the only one that can do a real good job of that. So I want you to remember that mirror and your reflection, that when you look in the mirror, you need to see something you like. And if you're hurting someone or talking about someone, you're not going to like that person in the mirror. Mirror of love. Let me do a closure. You met my son, and I want to introduce my son in a poetic sense. Because when I had my son, it scared me a whole bunch. Because I was saying, oh my God, am I going to be able to give him all the love he needs? Or am I going to give him the guidance he needs? Will I be able to give him the things he needs to be the best person he could be? And I was twice as afraid because I was a single parent. You hear a lot about single parents. And so I was one of those single parents, and I was really concerned about that. And as I thought about that, I wrote this, and it's called My Son. When I look at my son's face, I think of God's loving grace. He molded and made us with loving clay, each different in a special way. The same trusting arms of a newborn babe, a new generation, a brand new age. The hope of the world in his hands hold, looking towards the future, watching it unfold. There's a special strength in his little contour. I hope he can bear the pain he must endure. I want him to be a man, stand tall and strong, to make wise decisions, know right from wrong. Yes, as I look at my son's face, I thank God for his loving grace. I did good, didn't I? Now, I have a special artist that worked with me on my pictures. His business is completely separate from mine. He has his own business called Williams Works. It's completely separate from mine, and so he did that. Great. All you have to do is learn how to write, practice, read a whole lot. Read everything that you can get your hands on. The more you read and the more you write, the better author you'll be. Everything comes from scratch. But the way I learned, the way I started writing poems was from the inside out. Being quiet inside and thinking about love and thinking about respect and thinking about liking myself and that. And saying a special little cry out that says, Lord, help me be the best I can be. And then I didn't get it right all at one time. I kept trying over and over and over again until it got better. But you never get it right the first time. But that's why the mirror is so important. Because if you don't get it right the first time, you go back and look in the mirror. And it definitely gets better. The mirror. Remember the mirror. Okay? Remember the mirror.
This is a book.
Give me one more minute and it's a wrap. I'm going to finish with a prayer for my children because your parents love you. And I want to finish with sharing what I thought about my children. And this is a prayer for my children. I want to give my children every material joy in the world. But Lord God in heaven above, help me always give them love. Keeping these things in mind, please help me give my time. Let me listen into problems deep, even those that make me weak. Help me always understand when I'm not doing the best I can. Give me strength to stop and say, sorry, honey, it can't be that way. Help me know when they're afraid and anger comes from things unsaid. Give me patience to watch and wait. Trusting my teaching will keep them straight. And when they're grown and ready to leave, let me release them. Fill it, please. Thank you.
I know I enjoyed it, boys and girls. Touched you. And even though I'm not black, and your teachers aren't black, we have the same feelings that you have sometimes. We still feel pain, we still feel joy, and we still get scared. And we still think you're special too. I want you to remember that. You've learned a lot today, and I've learned a lot today. And I want you to keep the words that Mrs. Williams spoke to you today. And don't ever forget.
Love has no color. Love has no color. Thank you.
He's going to share some things that he likes to do with you also. So we're going to get started with Mrs. Williams.
We came to the docks all strapped in chains, mothers, fathers, children the same. Taken from our homeland without giving a thought. Couldn't speak the language, didn't know we were born. We started new families in God's name. Breeding good slaves was the master's game. Buying and selling was a business affair. Splitting our families without a care. The trend was started a long time ago. Why can't we stop it now that we know? Why can't we change this awful plan of splitting our families and take a stand? Some children look at television and books and say, where is my father? Does he look as I look? There are so many pleasures watching children grow and experience many fathers who never know. We passed through troubles from earlier days when fathers were head of the house, round in place. Something happened to some of our fathers with pride, joblessness, and welfare, and the white man's right. As caring parents, we must make a plan to hold the family together again. A mother and father started our lives. We need both parents. Both should provide. Aftermath of slavery. My name is Thelma Williams. I felt like I needed to get your attention. I am here to talk about African American history. But I'm also here to talk about how important it is for you to start making a good history. And each one of you have a job to do when you come to school, and that's to make a good history. My subject today is Mirror of Love. When you look in the mirror, who do you see? You see you? When you look in the mirror, who do you see?
Love. A mirror of love. Who do you?
When you look in the mirror, who do you see?
Me.
Say it again. Say it again.
Me.
So when you look in the mirror and you see a reflection of yourself, then you look back at yourself. And whether or not you see a good, loving reflection, whether or not you see a naughty reflection, has to do with you. Has to do with whether or not you're good boys and girls every day. The history that you want to make is a loving history. And the only way that you can do that is make sure that the person that looked back in the mirror at you is a good, loving person. Black history. Struggling through the pages of blackness, traveling unknown roads, finding fear, the dark race fight to be heard. From this, black history emerged. Singing the blues, coming from hard times, living the blues from social oppression, finding joy from church and gospel. Always believing that God watches us. Walking the pages, fighting our blackness, not having the pride without being taught. We're black and we're proud. We shouted with hope. The monkeys off our backs, no more ropes. A beautiful black pearl stand firm. The ebony remain with no defame. A history now written about our strives. The black and white pages tell of our lives. The things that you do today will be history tomorrow. You're the ones that's going to write the history for tomorrow. What kind of history do you want to write? You want to write a loving history. And you want to look in the mirror, and what look back at you should be a loving person. Listen to your teachers. Do the best you can. Teacher asked you to write one sentence, write that one sentence. On another piece of paper, when you finish real quick, practice writing another one without having to be told. She tells you to read one book, read 5 books. Because you need the information from the books in your head. And it has nothing to do with your teacher. Teacher already got the information in her head. You need the information in your head. What kind of history will someone write about you? A good history? Of course, because we're wonderful people. So only that kind of history can be written about us. A wonderful history. We started a little bit late, but I had to get the sermon in there. See, you gotta get the sermon in there. Let's hear amen. I want to introduce to you real quickly my son, Daniel Williams. Now he's going to come over there. It's a large class in that, and he has some pictures that he's going to show you, and that just look at them, stay as attentive as you can, and that, because it's going to take him a little while so that you will be able to see the pictures. And he's going to tell you a little bit about his business. He started writing, he started doing what he's doing when he was 10 years old. And this is where he is now, and he's working on having his own business now. So this is, you need to start doing some things right now to be the best that you can be.
My name is Daniel Williams, and this is my work.
Wow.
Now, all the pictures you'll see today came from my imagination. And all of these characters are part of a story I've written called Agenda. And the story started because I used to just draw superheroes, just draw them. I used to draw other people's superheroes, draw my own. And then a teacher suggested to me, why don't you write a book? And I said, yeah, okay, I'll write a book, sure, one day, and one day is here. Within the next 2 years, all the characters you see are going to be in my comic book. And if that comic book does well, Saturday morning cartoons, y'all might see some of mine running around now. And if that cartoon does good, I might go to the movies and see some of my characters up there on the screen. When my mother said I started drawing when I was 10 years old, I didn't draw this at 10. Within the last year, I learned how to draw it like this. When I was 10 years old, I drew stick figures. Stick figures. And I drew good stick figures. And everything I learned about drawing Came from watching other people draw and from school. Like I say, if any of y'all can draw now, I mean y'all can draw better than me when I was at y'all age. All you gotta do is practice. By the time you my age, whoever can draw, probably will draw better than me.
I wanted you to meet my son because he's an example of what you can do if you go to school, if you get your lesson, and if you practice and practice and practice and practice and practice. And so it takes a lot, but it's something that each and every one of you can do if you want to. You can be something if you want to. And I want you to meet my poem, my son in poetry. When I had my son, I was real worried about him. I was real worried and I was real scared because I was a single mother and I didn't know whether or not I could do everything for my son that needed to be done. And sometimes parents get real scared in that. Sometimes parents even are mean to you when they're scared because they want so much for you to be everything that they want. They want you to obey and they want you to be special. And so sometimes it comes out in real weird ways. So I thought about my son and I said, oh my gosh, you know, I really want him to be special. And then I thought about, you know, how special and precious he was. And I wrote, my son. When I look at my son's face, I think of God's loving grace. He molded and made us with loving clay, each different in a special way. The same trusting arms of a newborn babe, a new generation, a brand new age. The hope of the world in his hands hold, looking towards the future, watching it unfold. There's a special strength in his little contour. I want him to bear the pain he must endure. I want him to be a man, stand tall and strong, to make wise decisions, know right from wrong. Yes, as I look at my son's face, I thank God for his loving grace. My son. And I know there's some parents at home that think that you are real special too. I have a daughter also. I haven't talked a lot about my daughter because my daughter's not here with me. But my daughter is real special for me too. And girls are real special. And one thing about girls is that I wasn't so scared about raising a girl, rearing a girl, because I'm a girl. At least I started out being a girl. I'm a woman now. But so that wasn't really scary for me so much. But what was scary for me about a girl is that sometimes we girls have to learn so much about keeping the house and all that stuff. And so I was worried about my daughter in this way. And so when my daughter was 9, it's when I thought I'd write something about her because I was kind of scared as to what kind of person she'd be. And I call this to my daughter Cynthia at 9 years. She is sensitive like I used to be before my hard times came. She cries because my words are harsh, as my life hurt bring anger near. Her beauty and her need to know come anger by my fear. For precious of a mother's hurt or a daughter's heavy load, she must bear the burden of the future of this road. Help her, Lord, to understand that I do love her so. The task I make her learn so well will someday soften blows. The great demand required from man and societies need to say that these are things that she must do, because that's a woman's way. My daughter Cynthia, at 9 years. I wanted you to meet my children because, you know, parents want to be good parents and they try hard. But, you know, it doesn't matter how hard parents try. You must look in your own mirror and you must find something nice. You must look in your own mirror and you must make yourself good. You must make yourself obey. You must make yourself listen to your teacher. You must make yourself get your work. You can't leave all the work for someone else to do. It's your job. It's your mirror. It's your body. So help the teacher. Every day you come in and say, I must make my mirror the best that it can be. I must make that reflection, that person that's looking back at me, the very, very best it can be. And each one of you can do it. You don't have to wait for anyone else to do it. When you think about hitting someone, when you think about pushing someone, when you think about talking about someone, when you think about saying something dumb like somebody else is ugly, look in your own mirror. That's kind of scary, isn't it? Look in your mirror. And what I want to look back from your mirror is love. It's up to you. I want to do a closure. And I want to share with you the things that I've shared with every class. And I want to share with you a prayer I wrote for my children when they were young. And this is a prayer for my children. I want to give my children every material joy in the world. But Lord God in heaven above, help me always give them love. Keeping these things in mind, please help me give my time. Let me listen to problems deep, even those make me weak. Help me to always understand when I'm not doing the best I can. Give me strength to stop and say, sorry, honey, it can't be that way. Help me know when they're afraid and anger comes from things I'm saying. Give me patience to watch and wait, trusting my teachers will keep them straight. And when they're grown and ready to leave, let me release them. Feeling, please, a prayer for my children. It's almost time for you to go. But I want you to, I think you guys have been absolutely beautiful. And I want to give you a hand. Because this is a large group in that, and you're just a fantastically beautiful group of young people. And my son and I really enjoyed being here with you. And if anybody have any questions to ask me, you can. You want to ask anything about what you've heard, about my son's pictures, or anything, you got a couple minutes.
He said, how do you draw his pictures?
How do I draw them? Interesting question. How do you draw? Practice. You know, you basically, my pictures start off the same way. You know, like, and even though I draw a picture once, you know, like this one right here in the middle, that I have the word.
Wait, we're gonna walk that.
That one, you know, even though I draw it and it looks okay there, but within the last 30 minutes I've redrawn him, so he looks a little bit better now. You know, and I made this picture over about a year and a half ago. And this is the picture I made just a few minutes ago. And then this picture right here is going to be in color and everything after I finish adding the shadows and all that.
But he does not draw